Hi, this is Jim Gibson. Thank you for joining me today on my channel. Really appreciate it. And I've been in business for over 30 years. And what I want to do is I want to talk to people who are in business now or thinking about going into business, because I've learned some things over those 30 years. Now, just to tell you, my business grew, and it grew fast, and it grew large. We installed information technology systems, IT systems, all over the United States, in every single state, every year. It was a multi-million-dollar company. But we started small, and I'm going to do a video on that, how I started a company without a penny, and how it grew into a multi-million-dollar business. And no, this is not one of those sleazy sales in the middle of the night that you get. You can do it, you know? No, nothing like that. I'm going to tell you how I actually did it in that other video. But today I want to talk to you about some things. And the principle is, it's not how much you make, it's how much you get to keep. And today I want to talk about your fleet. Now, a lot of people say, I don't have a fleet. Well, if you have one car, you have a fleet. If you have one car and you're incorporated or you're an LLC, then that's your fleet if it's in the company name. And so it doesn't matter how many you have. You know, fleet sounds like you have hundreds of vehicles all over the place. You know, drive up and down streets throughout all the states. No, I had my vehicles in Southern California, and that's how I started. And I grew very slow, one vehicle at a time, one vehicle at a time. And I had some issues that I could help you with if you're a business owner today. So one of the things I want to talk to you about is how to manage that fleet. Now, when we had the vehicles and we would put technicians in the vehicles, and back then technicians had to visit the locations. You couldn't do things remotely, or rarely could you do things remotely. So you had to send out trained technicians to do certain types of jobs. So when I would send the technicians out to do a job, they would have to take one of the vehicles, and of course the vehicles had a lot of stuff in the back. Usually they were Tacomas with caps on them, or they were Ford Econoline vans. But I had, and it grew over numbers with time. So one of the things that I would do is, you know, the vehicles need gas. So when I had 2 or 3 vehicles, I would just tell the technicians, I'd say, look, when you get to a certain place where you need gas in that vehicle, just buy the gas, give me the receipt, and I'll reimburse you. And of course, we ran into problems with that. Some of my technicians didn't have cash, and some of them that didn't have cash, their credit cards were maxed out. So 50 miles from the office, I would get a call saying, I'm out of gas, I don't have money, and my credit cards aren't working. So that wasn't going to work. Plus, it was unfair to the employee. I'm taking their resources, holding on to it for a week or whatever time until I could get them reimbursed. So they could not use that income they had, you know, the $50, $100 that they spent that week on gas. And so that was unfair to them also. So I decided, well, my next step was, well, maybe I should just get gas cards. And I think there were mobile cards. It might have been Exxon. I don't remember which. That was a lot of years ago. Remember, I've been in business for over 30 years. So I issued these cards to them, and gas cards, and I would say, hey, just fill up the tank when you need to fill it up. And each technician had a different account number underneath their card, stuff like that. And then I would review the credit card statement at the end of the month to make sure it looked like they were legitimate things on there. And every once in a while I would catch something that was unusual. And it was kind of hard to catch because the technician would use truck 2 today and truck 5 tomorrow. And they'd have to fill up both, so maybe their credit card account would look kind of high, and I'd have to figure out why, you know, what they were doing, things like that. And I had to look at work orders, things like that, to find out where they were going, things like that. And there was fraud also. I knew I caught one guy where his wife would meet him at the gas station, and he would put $5 in the tank, and then he would put $5 in her car, and she would go to work, and he would go to work, and I would pay for her gas and my gas, or, you know, my technician's gas. So there was a lot of problems with that. Now, don't get me wrong. I had some really quality employees that had integrity, unbelievable integrity. They'd never do that. But we're dealing with humans, and some humans don't have integrity, and that would cost me money. Remember my point at the beginning. It's not how much you make, it's how much you get to keep. That's significant. And if you lose too much, then everyone loses their job because you go bankrupt. So you got to maintain, you got to manage these things as a business owner. And this is just one of many areas you got to manage as a business owner. So I decided I'd do research on fleet cards, cards that were issued to companies that have one or more vehicles that's used for business. And I came across this card called WEX, W-E-X, and I was with them for like 25 years. Great company. They've always taken care of my needs, things like that. They are not my sponsors. I did not ask them to sponsor it, so this is not paid sponsorship. This is true experience from my experience of what I learned and how much I appreciated this company and what they did for me. They solved a lot of problems for a small business. And so I got these cards, and the card didn't go to the technician, it went to the vehicle. So the card was always kept in the vehicle, and it had a vehicle number on there. Now, just to give you a little bit of heads up on this, the way I handled my vehicles is every vehicle had a unique number, never to be repeated again. So, you know, I think number one vehicle was mine at first, and then the next vehicle I bought was number 2, the next was number 3, 4, 5, something like that. But I never repeated it, so when I would file things for that vehicle, it always had the vehicle number on it, and I could always pull that file. It had nothing to do with 2 vehicles, it was always something to do with 1 vehicle, and that was it. If I sold that vehicle or was destroyed in an accident, we never used that number again. And this was the key on the WEX credit card, if you want to call it a credit card, fleet card. This was the key for that card. It was assigned to the vehicle, not the technician. So what would happen is the technician would show up at a gas station because they needed gas. They will pull out their WEX card, and then they would put it in the machine, and the machine will ask you, it knows this company. I mean, this was used everywhere. A lot of gas stations all over the place. And even when we had to travel long distances in a company vehicle, no matter where I went, you know, the normal system out there, the pumps, the gas pumps that are some, you know, how attached to some sort of big brain with WEX, would ask the same questions. They knew the vehicle was there because I put the credit card in there. And when you put it in there, it asks you a couple of questions. And the first question it would ask you was, what is your miles? What is your mileage on your odometer? So you'd put in your odometer reading. The second question it would ask is, what is your technician number? And or employee number. And now I always told employees they have to use the last 4 digits of their Social Security number, because it would be hard for someone to copy that or to know that and get a hold of this card and use it for personal means. And so, you know, if a car is broken into and they steal the WEX card, they can't use it because they're not authorized to use it, because they don't have the Social Security, the last 4 digits of the person's Social Security. And obviously everyone has a different Social Security, so it was distinguishable who was putting in what vehicle at what time. So I would get a report at the end of the month, and I would look at each of the vehicles, and it would tell me where they filled up at. So I'd know if someone was outside our service area or shouldn't, you know, maybe when, like I said, Las Vegas. I don't know why I keep on saying Las Vegas, but I had a couple incidences where people took service vehicles to a weekend in Las Vegas. That's not what service vehicles are for. But it would identify those type of things, and I would know what they did and what they were doing. So especially one guy used his own money to fill up the tank. He goes, how did I think? I didn't think you knew, because I used my own money to fill up the tank. I didn't use the WEX card, and I thought that was fair. No, it's not fair. I still got tires, I still got insurance, I still got gasoline. You took my car to do something, or my truck to do something it was not authorized to do, and you decided to use it for your own purposes and things like that. Well, WEX discovered that because the incredible mileage of 60 miles a gallon pointed out that there was something going on with that vehicle. So it points out a lot of fraud. As I think I already said, I had a guy who would meet with his wife, and even tried this with the WEX card. He'd put the gas in his card, in my truck, and then his wife would pull up and he would put $5 in her tank, and she would go on her way to work, and And pretty soon Wix let me know that I was only getting maybe 5-6 miles at a gallon. And when I told him I noticed that he was only getting 5 or 6 miles at a gallon, what's he doing with the other gallons that are being reported? I could see the look on his face, got very red, and it was like, how do you know that? Yeah, like I said, a lot of employees, ethical, man. I could give them $100 and say, just spend it on gas, and they would just spend it on gas, and they would show me the receipt, and I could trust them with anything. And there's others, and it's just human nature, man. You run into people like that. But again, it's not how much you get and how much you make, it's how much you get to keep, and it's only fair. And it's fair also to the employees, because you're not asking them for their money for gasoline. You're not asking them for their credit card for gasoline. And you know what's fair to all employees? That you stay profitable, and so you can pay the benefits. You know, I had health insurance and dental insurance I had to pay. Of course, you have regular insurance. You have their taxes. There's your side of their taxes that you have to pay. Taxes on everything, actually. And so if you're not a healthy company, and you get these really good people working for you, and they're really investing in your company, they're investing in you, and then you don't manage your resources properly, and you go out of business, well, then they've lost a job because of that, because you didn't do your due diligence and you didn't manage this. The Wix card was a godsend. It helped me manage my one area of a business that was just fantastic. Now I'm going to have some other videos on some other items, how you can save in this fleet area. Significant tens of thousands of dollars of savings can be accomplished in your fleet, because that's it really eats up a lot of resources, a truck that's on the road. And maybe not so much today, because a lot of work for IT companies are done remotely, but gasoline's a lot higher, repairs are a lot higher, things like that, and vehicles cost a lot more. So in my other videos, I'm going to be talking about some of those things, and how you can save money in other areas, significant amount of money, with some other software that's attached to the vehicle. Wix, W-E-X, I'll put it down below, and do your own research and see if that can help you in your business. Thank you for watching.